I don't know about you guys, but I am so sick and tired of all the podcasts that are 10 steps to a better life, 7 steps to success. Stop giving out so much advice and tell more stories. Hey, what's going on, guys? It's the Empowered People Podcast, where each and every week we are going to tell, share, and listen to stories that are meant to motivate us to action, to motivate us to movement. We believe that so much success, opportunity, education only comes when you're willing to get up and move.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy Matt P here. As always, thank you for listening to the podcast. If you haven't yet, please be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and share this podcast. Help us get the word out there that your past does not have to dictate your future.
Love it, dude. Well, yeah, and just, I mean, so that everybody knows, we're going to keep doing this without ratings, without subscribers, without reviews, because all these things that we're saying, man, we truly believe. I think I literally on Facebook, a guy just shared, he said, hey, man, I was listening to your podcast. He's a current employee here, an awesome dude. And he's like, I never knew if you had to deal with the question of, can I buy this new tool and still pay rent? And after listening to the podcast, I realized you know what it's like to climb the ladder, to be on the upcome, or whatever it's called, the come up. I'm real hip. But like being able to relate to people, my wife said in our Valentine's Day issue, that episode, that the more she forgets, the less she can relate. So I'm going to do this almost as a digital diary so that I can remember the amazing stories and awesome application questions that I kind of experienced. Because I think sometimes in entrepreneurship and climbing the ladder, dude, it's like survival. Your head's down. You're just grinding. You're not getting to stop every day and journal and think about things. But I do want to stop right now and just say, Matt, dude, how's this week going? Scale of 1 to 10. How do you think things are going? Got any wins for this week?
Dude, I'm on 10. I'm on level 10. I mean, you've been kind of busy working on the back ends of the business, and that's really put me in the driver's seat for estimating, which, you know, my number one goal this year is to become head of estimating. And I think that this week kind of like put the pedal to the metal and was able to get a really important bid out that we had a really good opportunity to win. And, you know, normally I tend to fall back on you whenever something gets a little hairy for me, but just couldn't this week, and really prided myself in the hours I put in, being able to get it done, being able to message the people that I needed to in order to find out the answer. Really good. So, I mean, I push out maybe 1 or 2 bids a week, and I'm at like 4 and it's Wednesday. So it's pretty dope.
Yeah, I was extremely proud of your ability to, you know, kind of progress with very minimal input on me. I mean, the only input I had was like via text messages to certain bids, and you were able to just trudge ahead. And it's funny to think 2 things. Number one, you just said, like, I've never heard you say that my goal by the end of this year is to be head of estimating, because I know that was a text message or something I planted in your head that said like, hey, what if by the end of the year you're head of estimating? Just kind of throwing it out there, and to hear you kind of not only, you know, puff your chest about it, but kind of be inspired by it to actually do something and kind of take it serious, I think it's cool.
Well, I mean, it's hard, dude. You push like 150%, and in the moment, you know, sometimes I'm like, dang it. Like, I don't know if I'm capable of this, but every time I finish what I'm doing, what you push me to do, I always feel like that next level of accomplishment. And like, I hate saying it to you because, I mean, it's weird to say it to you, but it's a real thing. And I think I text you, you're like, hey man, good job. And I was like, dude, I couldn't get this far without you actually pushing me. I never would have pushed myself that far.
Well, and the second thing that was really cool to me is we had the opportunity to kind of snag a job that we bid a long time ago. I mean, honestly, a year ago. I mean, it was a long time ago. And you were looking at it, and it literally took Matt like 2 weeks to do this bid, and he missed everything, and it was just horrible. And now, like, I mean, you bid a job today, basically the same size, in 4 hours. I mean, just to see that progress of where you were a year ago to now.
Yeah, so I definitely still have a ton to learn, but it was super cool to be able to, I mean, navigate through the software. That's such an important thing. Just like being able to figure that stuff out, being able to figure out how to streamline emails and, you know, things like that. I used to write out every single email, make it super personal to each person, and realizing that doesn't make any sense as far as like time management, which obviously I'm not that good at, but it's just things are getting a lot faster, and it's really cool for me to see my progress and just, I mean, I'm not all about myself, but just how far I've come and knowing that this is like a real thing for me to really like dive into this thing.
Yeah.
So.
Well, for me, man, this week is riding high because some of you probably already know. If you don't, you should know, and you are put on the clock right now. Limitless Brewing, a local brewery craft place that we were able to partner with to wire up. Limitless Brewing is now released a People Greater Than Profit brew. It's a strawberry saison, kind of in honor of and shoulder to shoulder with us. They've given us a lot of love, a lot of shout outs. It's been an extremely fun display that how when you view a customer as just money, not a person, not a business, not a story, you really fall short. But someone like this that we were bought into, we invested in, we're extremely proud to drink their beer. Literally, I hated IPAs until I drank their IPAs. I hated sours until I drank their sour. They have a raspberry blonde that I think is possibly the greatest tasting beer I've ever tasted in my life. And now we're able to say, hey, there's a brew called People Greater Than Profit that's kind of in honor of us. And what's so cool about Limitless Brewing and just, constantly shouting them out and getting to be a part of them, all the profits of the beer they sell of this goes to Johnson County Suicide Prevention. It's a local nonprofit that tries to help people that, for whatever reason, whether it's depression or anxiety or troubles or whatever, self-harm, self-affliction, decide to take their life. This organization is trying to stop that. It's a great organization, and it's a great brew. It's a great beer. So if you have not been to Limitless, I would say go there, check it out, show them love. It's a way to represent us. It's a way to promote them, and honestly, just make Kansas City brighter.
Follow them on Instagram. It's Limitless Brewing. These guys are blowing up. They're about to be on 610 radio on Friday. They're on some TV show on Saturday or something like that. And talking to them a year ago at Monarch's open house, you never would have thought that these guys, well, I didn't even really know who they were. You know what I mean? I didn't know who we were talking to. I was just kind of taking in that I was even a part of what was going on. But dude, these guys are blowing up in a hard way. And reach out to them. If you're a business owner, get involved. They will get involved with you. They are super cool to work with. They're awesome.
Yeah. When it comes to entrepreneurship and all that kind of stuff, I mean, they are fantastic. So anyways, that's why I'm riding high for sure.
Hey man, so I've been thinking a lot about this week, and I've been really influenced through you, to always say yes to everything, to always swing the bat. But you can't always say yes to everything, right? I mean, sometimes you gotta say no. So how do you know when to say yes and when to say no?
Well, I think that's a super developed skill, to know the difference between when to say yes and when to say no. And I think early on, and that actually makes me think of, an early project, you've got to say yes to everything. And what I mean by that is, I remember I coached Little League Baseball. I don't know if I told you this, but I coached Little League Baseball. I never played baseball, right, because I couldn't afford a mitt, a baseball glove. And so I just told the kids, I didn't want to play, but I really did want to play. Just couldn't afford the mitt, but I got the opportunity to coach. It was my brother-in-law's baseball team, and I didn't know what I was doing. These kids were better than me. They were faster than me. They were stronger than me at this point. I mean, they're high school kids. And I told them, hey, the only thing I'm going to say to you is if you strike out looking, meaning you have 2 strikes against you and they throw the ball and you don't swing the bat and you get called out, you are going to run a lap. Even in a game right now, you are going to run around the whole field, outside the fence, run around. You are not going to strike out looking. And the reason that I said that is I read this book because I'm trying to learn baseball. I'm trying to learn how to coach, The Ripken Way by Cal Ripken Jr. And he had talked about how there was this big aggression at the plate, swinging the bat at the plate that happens between machine pitch and first-year kid pitch. So machine pitch is less than I think 7 years old, where the coach just puts a ball in a machine and it shoots the ball always at the same height, same speed, same elevation, and kids learn to hit the ball really well. Well, the first year that they go into kids pitch and they take that machine away that's extremely consistent, always right where they want it, the perfect pitch, you can adjust it up, high, down, all this stuff. The first year kid pitch, dude, those kids are pitching like crazy. The ball is going all over the dang place, hitting the kid, going in the dirt. I mean, crazy. And so kids learn the way to win is to look for a walk, to not be aggressive at the plate, to basically just expect that kid is eventually, before he throws 3 strikes, he's going to throw 3 crazy balls, and you're going to get on base, not because you're good, not because you're aggressive, not because you're skilled, but because they suck. End of story. And he said it is the worst thing that you can do to a kid because, yeah, it wins games, first-year kid pitch. You can be the first-year kids pitch champion filled with a bunch of baseball players that don't know how to hit the dang ball. So I would say early on, I said yes to absolutely everything, including painting water slides for the city of Gardner, Kansas.
Painting water slides?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, like we painted water slides for the city of Gardner, Kansas as one of our very, very first jobs.
So, I mean, I think that's a little funny because, I think your slogan, besides people over profit, is you're out here to change the face of construction. But, I mean, that's not really a construction job.
I mean, it is construction, but it has absolutely nothing to do with electrical.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a pretty funny encounter. So I had previously told you about an amazing guy named Dale Cooper, who he started Cooper Marine. I think it's an episode in developing the skills. If you haven't listened to that, you probably should. He was so influential in developing the skills needed to run a business someday. He actually was so influential in how I parent and how I love my wife. We named my firstborn son Cooper after him, which shout outs to little Coop. I know he listens to every episode, and he broke his nose for the second time in like 2 months. Poor little kid. Needs to learn how to take a fall, but we'll work on that. But so anyways, he was doing yacht repairs, and during the economy crash, it kind of dwindled up a little bit, and he kind of pivoted, which is, I think, important for any business. And he got into doing fiberglass repair on water slides, which was way more lucrative, and he's done really well. And it's kind of a nationwide, actually international company, and he landed a job in Gardner, Kansas, small little town, but it has a really cool high school. I actually got to work on it a much earlier date with that previous electric company, but the city of Gardner has this beautiful, humongous water park with all these water slides, and he called me up and said, hey, I want you to, I landed these water slides, I can pay you really well, are you interested? And I think it's just super important. So the reason I say that is like saying yes to everything at the beginning. You have to understand, even though I started an electric company, I'm in the opportunity business. And you hear people say that, like, hey, we're a security company, but we're actually in the people business. You can say, little slogans like that, and it's cutesy, but like it's true. It's not cliche. Like, I've got to make money. Like, it's people over profit. But profit matters. I've got to make money. I'm a husband. I'm a father. I have 3 kids, single income. So if I'm going to get paid by painting water slides, I think it's important to swing at all those things. The perfect customer is the customer that's willing to give you money, right?
Yeah, I think that, a lot of times people get confused whenever you say people over profit. Like, profit's extremely important. It's just that people are more important than the profit, right?
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. And the reason I say that too is like, I think I've heard people say like, man, we really want to do commercial projects, but we're only getting residential work. Okay, great. Do the residential work and then keeps taking swings at the commercial work. Hey, I want to renovate these beautiful, humongous homes, but all I'm getting asked to do is tile. Okay, cool. Do the tile. Do whatever's going to get you paid on Friday and build towards what you can. You're never going to build a company by lack of opportunity. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, do you think Dale was looking out for you a little bit in like landing that job or?
Yeah, I think he was. I think he definitely had, my good intention in mind. He knew that I needed to do work. And dude, I think there was actually for a little while he was doing yacht repair, he was also building like cedar wood, windmills, like water wheel things. Like, I mean, that dude was doing everything because he had 7 kids at home. He's got to make money. End of story. And so like, I think saying yes to everything and taking every opportunity is super important to keep your business alive. But like you were kind of saying, it's not going to necessarily scale your business. Scaling your business is another way I guess I could say it is like you can work in your business and on your business. And so what I mean is like working in your business is what gets you paid on Friday. So whether you're a barber or a baker or an electrician or a photographer, whatever it is that you do that a customer is willing to pay for is working in your business, okay? It's the thing that people are paying you to do. And I think that you've got to do. And when you start out, man, honestly, 8 hours a day, that's what I was doing. And in this instance, 8 hours a day, it's painting water slides. Not something I'm super excited about, but got bills to pay. And what I would do is I would paint water slides all day because go check out the water park. It's extremely cool. But it's extremely big. So, I mean, it took a while, but like I would work 8 hours a day painting those water slides. And then when I got done with that, the billable hours, I would work on the business. So things like figuring out how to put your gosh darn signature on your emails on your iPhone. Like that takes actual time. Following up and answering emails on prospective customers, that takes time. Designing, or not designing because I didn't design it, but approving a logo. Little things like that, working on your business that's going to attract more customers, that's going to attract more employees, that's also super important. It's just not something at the beginning you can devote all your time to because your customer's not like, hey, I want to pay you lots of money because you got a cool logo.
Yeah, it's not something that makes you money. So, I mean, you said it's a pretty big job. Did you have help? Like, how did you do all that yourself?
Yeah. I want to say real quick, people don't pay for our logo except for when they buy these dope coffee cups that are now on sale on our website. They're these sweet Yeti tumbler type coffee cups. They're not Yeti. Yeti will one day be a proud sponsor of the Empowered People podcast, but not quite yet. When they are, we will have those. Yeti. They're not Yeti, proud sponsor. Yeah, you gotta get these but come on, right? Like, dude, that's dope. I mean, I love them. Anyways.
Did you have help?
Dude, so yeah, I had to have help. And I think one cool thing is, if you didn't notice, I think also what I would say is, your network is going to help you sell jobs. Your network is going to help you get opportunities. Your network's also going to help you hire people.
So how did you network at this time?
Well, so at this time, I married Dale Cooper's niece. So, and he cared about me.
So he got you the job, but how did you get people to help you?
Yeah. I was getting to that. My father-in-law, it was pretty cool. I think a reference is way better than a resume ever is. And my father-in-law, he worked at Ford for 30 years. Awesome dude. I mean, he is just so hardworking. He worked at Ford for 30 years. He also had a tree spade business. He also at Ford drove a tow to both sides of the plant delivering tools or parts and tools and whatever. And while he would do that in the summertime, there was no air conditioning for the plant. He would basically stock his tow with like half frozen sodas and like sell them off his tow to the guys for like $2 a piece. And I think there was some days that he made more money selling soda while he's like at the Ford plant than actually what he was getting paid at Ford. And he told me that like he got in trouble when they found out how much money he was making, but then he would just give the plant managers free sodas and they stopped yelling at him. So he's just this hustler type of guy.
Yeah, that's a straight hustle.
And so when he retires, he literally was retired for like probably 13 days. And he's like, all right, I got to do something. And so he got a job at Orchland's, which is like a local small like hardware store. And he would just tell people about me. And it's just really fun for me. It's kind of I know he's really proud of me. And it's a proud moment because remember, like if you remember, like I became an electrician because I was a residential painter asking him, hey, I want to marry your daughter. And he said, no bloody way, you're a bloody joke. So I've gone from a bloody joke to something he's extremely proud of. And he's telling everyone at Orchland's about the company I'm building, Empowered Electric. I don't know if he would say that cares more about people and less about profit, but he'd be like, come on now. My son-in-law's got this great company. He could change light bulbs and
well,
stuff.
I think it's important to understand that you have to be confident in what you're doing in order for people to want to support you.
Yeah, no, definitely. He knew I was capable. He saw what I did at the previous electric company. He saw that I was a competent electrician that was working my butt off. He saw that I was willing to paint water slides if that meant painting water slides is what paid the bills. And so he would talk to everybody about me. And I remember one day he was like, hey, I got this young kid, 19 years old, able-bodied, hard worker. He said he was interested in the electric company, and if you ever needed help, he'd help. And I was like, absolutely great. And I remember it was so funny. So I hired 2 guys to help me do it. And this kid, I pick him up and he's like, yeah, I really want to be an electrician. I'm excited about this. And I'm like, well, we're going to Gardner, Kansas to paint water slides. And he's like, that was an electric company. And I was like, yeah, it is. But do you want to get paid on Friday? We're going to kind of do everything. And he was a good kid. It was just really funny. He definitely didn't see the future of what we were going to become. So he didn't really last till the end of this water slide project, but he still had a good attitude and he helped me good enough. And the other guy was something like Indeed. I put an ad out on Indeed and Craigslist, and I got a referral, not a referral. I got an application from a guy on Indeed, and man, I tell you what, I could overlook, tattoos and weird quirks, and he actually was kind of good and hardworking, and I could handle like his reliable transportation. All of a sudden wasn't reliable, and I had to like pick him up at the quick trip down the road. And I remember like it finally came to an end when I spent 30 minutes knocking on his door while watching him like hide behind the blinds looking at me. I was like, okay, dude, this guy's too far out there. Like, I don't know if it's drugs or PTSD or what it is, dude. This dude is in cuckoo land. And it was just, what's funny about that is like, I feel like you can squander opportunities trying to get other people to do the work that you just need to knuckle down and do yourself. And so I had to like finally just give up on that guy, and me and the 19-year-old kid are going to paint this water slide. And it was interesting because like I think there's an element of it where you've got to use all your skills, right? So painting water slides wasn't something I had ever done before. But if you haven't listened to the 10 episodes that we did prior to this about developing the skills, I talk about how who you are as an entrepreneur is really just a reflection of who you were as an employee. And like had I jacked around and not paid attention at Proline Painting, had I jacked around and not paid attention while I was at Safe Slide, well, it wasn't Safe Slide, Cooper Marine, if I had jacked around and not listened to people like Russ Palmer tell me, read the directions, I wouldn't have known how to paint those water slides or do the skills, because it was like a weird paint. You had to read it, and it was like 1 part paint, 2 parts epoxy, and 1 part acetone to like create this chemical reaction that bonds to fiberglass and stuff. Like, had to read the directions, had to think about safety, had to have some grit, had to have some skill, had to get out there and just do the work and not expect other people to do it. You know what I mean? Yeah,
I definitely know what you mean. I mean, going back to having your father-in-law network for you, he would have never done that, and you should have never like relied on him to get the word out there, right? Like, I mean, I think you've told me how many times that you practiced your pitch, that you practiced being confident with like the smallest people so that opportunity would open up with the big people, right?
Correct. Yeah. Well, dude, and that was, I mean, honestly, now that you say that, it made me think, like, it was so funny. So not only am I selling and using the network to get the 19-year-old kid and also the crazy guy that I drop off at a quick trip never to see again, but also I'm sales pitching every single person for the city of Gardner, Kansas that I come in contact with. And just like that kid's like, wait a second, I thought this was an electrical company. Why are we painting water slides? They're also going, wait a second, why are you painting our water slides if you're an electrician? And I'm like, hey man, jack of all trades, like master of one. I'm a master electrician, but I can do all this other stuff. Noticed you got a light out in the bathroom. I'm like pitching those people. And I think like, it's funny. You do not want to, so you see these shows, right? Like Shark Tank, where they walk in and they like pitch Mark Cuban. And you're like, oh man, I would say this. No, you wouldn't. Stop. Yeah. Like, you've got to learn, like, you want to learn how to sell yourself. You want to learn to fine tune what you say, what catches people's attention, both employees, customers, owners, investors, all that kind of stuff. You got to talk about yourself. You got to sell. And when you've sold too much, when you've become too pushy, you keep going. Do you believe in what you're doing? Do you believe in your potential? And even though I'm painting water slides, I know what we're going to be. I have no doubt in my mind what we're going to be as an electrical company. So every city official that I talk to, every inspector I talk to, everybody I came in contact with, not just at the water slide, but literally at the diner, at First Friday, on date night, whatever it was. Like, I'm going to tell them about who we are right now.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be aware of who we are right now, but I'm going to let them know. I remember I used to be like, I work for Empowered Electric. And they'd be like, who? And I'd be like, come on, man, you know Empowered Electric. And I would like act like that. I'm like, no, I'm just kidding. I'm the only guy. I started it. But they, it would kind of catch them. And there's this scene in The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel on Amazon Prime, dude.
Never seen it.
Dude, it's a really good movie about an up-and-coming comedian like in the 1960s or something. But there's this scene where she's developing a bit, and a bit is like, a comedy section, like a joke, okay? And she's developing it, and it shows her saying the same bit over and over and over again, and the first time she says it, like 3 people laugh. The next time she says it, she changes a couple words and like 10 people laugh. And every time it shows like 10 times her doing the same exact joke, changing different words. And it finally ends with her saying it perfectly, and like the whole crowd loses their stuff. And it kind of reminded me, I just was at this entrepreneurship networking group, and like most networking groups, this one's actually good. This one's good, but have you ever been in like a small group, like whether it's at camp or like church or something, and they're like, hey, why don't we go around the circle and tell everybody our name and our favorite childhood TV show?
Or your favorite ice cream. Like, it's like every like a new job or something whenever there's like a training class.
Yeah, like an icebreaker or something. And so in this class, they're like, hey, what your name, and guys would stand up and say their name. Guys and girls would stand up and say their name and kind of give a little thing about them. And it was good. These people are all successful, so I'm not dogging on them. But it gets to me, and I stand up and I just go with it. I mean, I'm like, hey, my name's Josh Levin. I'm with Empowered Electric. We're a commercial electric company, but honestly, if you asked us what kind of jobs we prefer Instagrammable jobs. Everybody kind of laughed, and I said, yeah, I know we're chasing the pretty girls, but honestly, we're chasing the jobs that make Kansas City brighter, that affect, the community in a positive way. We're striving to be a nonprofit or a for-profit company with a nonprofit heartbeat. And I kind of just, rolled it for like 2 minutes. And literally the next guy was like, dang, that was good. Are you hiring? And everybody kind of laughed, but it was kind of like that. It was compelling. It was memorable. Like, it hooked people. And you're never going to be able to get people to remember you, to think about you, to use you, to want to use you, if you haven't worked through talking to people, talking to customers, pitching people over and over and over again. And honestly, those things, that whole thing, actions speak louder than words. They're not going to believe that you're a hardworking company if they don't see you working
hard. Yeah.
If they see you every day, all day at a coffee shop working on emails, unless your job is responding to emails, they're probably not going to believe you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, I mean, it just seems like from day one, you were, saying that exact same thing with the projection in mind that this is what we're going to be. And, hey, if you get me a job, that's cool. But right now, like, really, you're just practice.
Yeah, I've never made them feel like practice.
I mean, I know, but that's what you're thinking, and I think that's what you're trying to tell people is use these opportunities as practice.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, because you never know.
Swing.
You never know. Swing the ball. I mean, I've always been a guy. Swing the ball? Did I just say that? Swing the bat. I mean, I've just always been a person that it just drives me nuts to see someone strike out looking, and I always would prefer a quarterback to throw an interception than take a sack. It's just like you don't know what opportunities are out there unless you're willing to just take the chance.
And you especially, I mean, dude, I spend tons of time with you, and I feel like you see like the maximum potential in every single individual. You just like always see that in somebody, and so I could totally understand how that could really frustrate you.
Yeah. I mean, you just don't know unless, you try. So,
right. So I mean, to sum it up, man, I hear you saying that say yes to everything until it's time to say no. I mean, I think we've almost been in business for 4 years, and are you to that point yet?
Dude, so I listened to a podcast that Tim Ferriss did with, I think the guy's name is Matt Mullenweg. He's the founder of WordPress that powers like 60% of the internet. And he had talked about that. He had said that at the beginning, early stages, honestly, your default answer has got to be yes. Yes, because it's how you learn your skill. It's how you develop your craft. It's how you get better. Ira Glass on creative work, the way that you get more creative is doing lots of work. And then he said that he was at the point to where now his default answer is no. And what's funny is I feel like I did run across a lot of like small companies like me when I'm out there painting water sites, talking about electrical work, that they would talk about their ideal customer and how that wasn't the right fit for them and that wasn't the right job. There wasn't high enough margins. And dude, I'm sad to say that most of those those people that I'm thinking of right now are out of business. They were too fancy. They were too say no because everybody wants to be Matt Mullenweg. But dude, Matt Mullenweg is a multi-millionaire. Like he can say no to things. Like that dude has more opportunity. He is a better batter than you and I probably ever will be. So unless you're Matt Mullenweg, you got to just say yes.
Say yes. Use all the skills that you've learned, and have the grit, right?
Yeah, grit and skill, man. And part of the reason I say that is like, I think there's got to be some like tenacity, not spending money. So I see it the most in the way people spend money at the beginning. So they start a company and it's like they hire a virtual assistant to like answer emails and like set up scheduling, and like they hire a social media agency to like handle their social media presence. And even like, I remember it's so funny, like having a website, like our first website was a Squarespace website for $9.99, empoweredelectrickKC.com, the longest freaking name in the history of the world, empoweredelectrickKC.com. But it's because it was a free domain with the subscription, and Empowered Electric cost $7,000. I apologize, but I don't think the name Empowered Electric is going to sell me that much work.
Right.
And I think at the beginning, if at the beginning you value your time so much that you're spending money on things that the customer, like I said, working in your business, aren't adding to what the customer is willing to pay you for, you're in for a really bad rude awakening.
Absolutely.
I mean, you got to be stingy at the beginning with your money. So
skills and grit, and then, networking to sell and networking to find talent.
Yeah. No, I mean, 100%. I mean, I think it's true. A referral is better than a resume.
That's good.
And I want to say too, like, as an employer, as a person that's hired a lot of people now, I have never once, I mean, even my father-in-law has referred a lot of people to me since that water slide experience. If you, the listener right now, you're scared to refer people because you're thinking to yourself, man, what if they don't work out? What if they turn out to be a jackwagon? What if whatever? How's it going to look on me? I have never hired somebody based on somebody's referral. If they didn't work out, I never judged the person that gave me the referral. Now, I can't speak to every employer, of course. I can only speak to myself. But I have never faulted a person for giving a reference. Never, not once. I might have said, hey, dude, why'd you refer that guy? And they might say, hey, man, they're a childhood friend. I really think they're worth a shot. I don't know if they're going to work out. That's the same way I refer people. So as I'm like with a general contractor or something, I'm like, hey, man, I know this painting company. Hey, man, I know this tile guy. Hey, man, I know this people. I don't know if they're the best, but I think they're pretty cool and they're worth a shot. Like, that's how I refer people. And so don't be scared to put your name out there. I think that's selfish because honestly, when it comes to employment, when it comes to opportunity, if you can help somebody, you should.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the last one was drowning in sales. Sell until you can't sell anymore. Go down that water slide and keep selling.
Well, no, so it's not sell, and when you can't sell anymore,
keep selling.
Like, yeah, I think it was Mark Cuban said it. He said sell, and when you're drowning in sales, sell more. And I remember it's just a theme that just rang true in my brain. Because here's the truth. Anybody that's done door-to-door, like sales, like whether it's the world's finest chocolate or Girl Scout cookies or Boy Scout trash bags or whatever it is, gutters, window replacement, all this kind of stuff, you're going to get 20 doors shut in your face.
90 doors, 99 doors. You might make one sell that day, but I mean, it's worth it.
Yeah. And the only way you're going to find that door isn't by doing market research. It's not by giving everybody a survey if they want to knock on the door. I mean, if there's a no soliciting sign, maybe don't knock on that door, but the only way that you're going to get those people to answer the door is by knocking on it. So that's why I would just say you got to practice selling and talking about your company.
Awesome, man. So say yes to everything, have the skills, have the grit, network to find talent, network to find sales, and drown in those sales.
Yeah, and I would just say, like right now, like as we wrap this up, where you are right now isn't necessarily where you're going to be 10 years or 4 years from now. Like 4 years ago was painting water slides. Since then, I've got to do some of the coolest projects throughout Kansas City. Super high-end restaurants, super high-end finishes, high hospitality places. I mean, places all over the city that are absolutely amazing, like the Rock Hill Grill, Corvino's, the Roasteries coffee shops. I've got to work with J.E. Dunn, McCown & Gordon, Centric, which are, three of the largest general contractor companies in Kansas City. I've been able to get to the place that I want to be because I wasn't too proud to start where I was. And I think each and every one of you needs to reflect on where you're at and really just have the dream, have the vision, tell everybody about it, and get out there and take care of business. Guys, thanks a ton for listening. Just like each and every week, we appreciate this. If you would, like, share, subscribe, all that stuff on YouTube. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Empowered KC, EMPOWEREDKC on Instagram, guys. Thanks a ton. We'll be talking to you next week. Bye-bye.